Good morning, everybody. I'm Nate Eaton here in the East Idaho News newsroom. Big day. Of course, this morning, Judge Steven Boyce ruled that Lori Vallow Daybell is now competent for trial, meaning the stay in her case, the pause in her case, which has been in effect since last summer, June, will no longer be in effect. And she will be released from the Department of Health and Welfare custody. She has been in northern Idaho at a facility for the past, well, I would say nearly a year, at least 8-9 months. And she will now be brought back to Fremont County, and she will be arraigned. She will have her initial court appearance next Tuesday at 1 o'clock in Fremont County on murder charges for the deaths of her children, JJ and Tylee, along with Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy. Now, I have the court order here from the judge, which was just released this morning. It was filed at 9:35 a.m. and rushed down to the courthouse, got a copy of it. I'm going to read it to you. Based upon the court's determination that defendant Lori Noreen Vallow, aka Lori Noreen Vallow Daybell, is restored to competency and is fit to proceed, the court orders that the defendant be brought before this court to be arraigned. Further, the order staying the case is hereby lifted. Defendant is to be transferred from the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare and remanded to the custody of the Fremont County Sheriff to be transported and brought before this court. The arraignment will take place on April 19th, 2020 at 1 p.m. at the Fremont County Courthouse, Fremont County, Idaho, dated the 11th of April, 2022, signed by Judge Steven Boyce. Now, this comes as last week there was some hearings that were closed, sealed to the public in regards to this case. And there were subpoenas issued in regards to this case. We don't know who got those subpoenas, but what we do know is that doctors with the Department of Health and Welfare about 2 or 3 weeks ago submitted some reports about Lori. But we don't know what was in that reports, and we probably never will know what was in that reports, but one could assume based upon this order from Judge Boyce today that those reports said that she was cleared for competency. And that's what's going to happen. So now, you might recall last summer when the grand jury came down with that indictment for the murder, conspiracy to commit murder, all of those charges that Lori and Chad faced together. You might recall that within a matter of days, her attorney at the time, Mark Means, filed a motion saying she is not competent. And so everything went on hold. Mental health professionals said, yeah, she's not competent. We need to restore her to competency. They sent her away to a facility. And she went to a hospital in northern Idaho where she's been since June. And now it appears that whatever treatment they've given her, whether it's medication, whether it's counseling, whatever it is, probably a combination of both, they now say, at least the judge says, that based on all this information, she is declared competent. This is a major step. That means that Lori and Chad will likely be tried together come January. There was some question. You might recall that Chad's attorney, John Pryor, asked the court to separate these cases out because he said, we don't know the future of Lori. I need to prepare for my trial. I need to, get my defense ready. And the judge said, no, I'm going to keep them together, and they're going to face a jury together in January. Well, now it appears that will happen unless one of them cuts a plea agreement between now and then or something changes where they decide to plead guilty. Remember, Lori could always show up at her initial court appearance at her arraignment and plead guilty. And she could say, I'm guilty, or she most likely will declare herself not guilty. I mentioned Mark Means a few minutes ago. Her attorney is no longer on the case. He was forced off the case by the judge in end of the year, end of December. So she now has Jim Archibald, who is an experienced public defender who has defended many high-profile cases, many death penalty cases, which this case is. And he knows his way around the courtroom. He is not seeking a lot of media attention. But he does know how to defend an attorney. So the prosecution has not said if they will declare the death penalty. They will try to get the death penalty in Lori's case yet. They have, I believe it is 60 days from the day that the defendant is arraigned to declare if they are going to seek the death penalty. They have done that with Chad's case. We know that. They are seeking the death penalty in Chad's case. But Lori's case, what will happen is next Tuesday, she'll show up in court. We've got a camera request already in. We're hoping to stream that live for all of you on East Idaho News. She will appear before the judge. The judge will read her charges. She won't necessarily need to speak at that point until the next court hearing when she will declare guilty or not guilty. And at that point, 60 days from the arraignment, the prosecution will need to say, yes, we are going to try for the death penalty on her as well as Chad. Her attorney is death penalty certified in the state of Idaho. He has tried death penalty cases, so that won't be an issue. He will likely need to bring on co-counsel, other attorneys who can help him with this case, because you think of all of the evidence and all of the witnesses that will be called. I mean, they're scheduling this trial for 10 weeks in January. And here's another issue that will be discussed next Tuesday at the hearing in Fremont County. Actually, a separate hearing that was already scheduled. The prosecution's going to go in and say to the judge, it's going to be so much cheaper, significantly cheaper, if we bring the jury in from Ada County, we bus them into Fremont County, and we hold the trial here. That way we won't have to take all of our teams out there. We won't have to call all of the witnesses to Boise. We won't have to call all of the court personnel. Instead, we can just bring in the jury. Because as of now, everything moves to Boise in January. But the prosecution's going to try to ask the judge to bring the jury here to eastern Idaho, and saying that there can still be a fair trial, there can still be unbiased jurors in there. It'll just be a lot cheaper for the county. We don't know if the judge is going to go for that or if he won't, but immediately after that, Lori will appear. There's a lot of people just tuning in saying, what's going on? This morning, Judge Steven Boyce issued a written order that Lori Vallow Daybell is restored to competency and is fit to proceed. And she will be brought back to eastern Idaho from the Department of Health and Welfare, where she's been since June. She will be brought back to eastern Idaho. She'll be booked into jail in the female population, and she will appear to be arraigned on several charges, including the murder of Tylee, her daughter, JJ, her son, the murder of Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell's first wife, as well as conspiracy to commit murder. And these trials are set to happen together for 10 weeks, right now in January of 2023. That's when it's scheduled. It is possible that now that Lori is competent, her attorneys could say, we need a little bit more time to get up to speed now. I think they've kind of been doing that behind the scenes, but Chad's case is much further along than Lori's. So that's what's happening in the case. We will, as I mentioned, try to bring you the hearing live. I imagine that that's going to happen next week. We do have permission. The judge has granted us permission to live stream the original hearing on the trial potentially being moved, or the jury being brought into Fremont County. So we will have that live for you next Tuesday at 9:30 on East Idaho News. And then we've just submitted a request to go carry the thing live at 1 o'clock when Lori is arraigned. So it looks like a few of you have some questions. I'm going to try to answer those. If you want to pop them up really quick here. Yes, somebody asked, will the trials be held together? Yes, as of now, they're supposed to be held together. Will she get the death penalty? That is up to the prosecution. Chad, right now, they are seeking the death penalty on him. Now, his attorney, John Pryor, as far as I know, has not tried a death penalty cases. But if you hire private counsel, if you decide to, you can hire anyone you want, but if the state appoints you an attorney, you have to have a death penalty certified attorney. I hope that makes sense. If I go out and I hire anybody I want to represent me, they don't have to be death penalty certified. It obviously helps. But if I don't have enough money for an attorney and the state appoints me one, that person has to be death penalty certified, simply because you want to rule out any chances for, appeals and things like that. So, that's what's happened there. Somebody asked about the death penalty. We should know within 60 days if the judge is going to go for the death, or if the prosecution will go for the death penalty with Lori. As far as her counsel, it really doesn't matter because Jim Archibald is her counsel. Why was Mark Means released? Well, it came down to, I think, that there was a conflict, because originally, you might remember, Mark represented both Chad and Lori when all of this case broke out. And now they're being tried with conspiracy to commit murder, meaning they allegedly conspired to do the crimes. If you're an attorney and you've represented both of them, they're saying that basically you could have your finger on the scale for one or the other. So it's just better, by all accounts, to step back. He did not recuse himself. The judge said you need to get off the case. Will Lori appear in court? Yes, she will be there. And as far as we know, this is an in-person hearing. She will show up. be in the flesh. We have not seen her. Let's see. When she was first brought back from Hawaii, that was March of 2020, and then everything else has been virtual. Although there was one hearing in the middle of COVID where East Idaho News was granted we were the pool camera, meaning we were the one camera in the courtroom for all the media, and I was running that camera, and she came in with a mask, and it was her and her defense attorney, Mark Means, and it was the prosecution and Judge Mallard at the time, and it was a bond reduction hearing. You might remember that. It lasted 4 hours. Mark Means was arguing to have her bond reduced, and the judge did not reduce it, but it was a long hearing, and I can remember at the time that Lori and I did. Anyway, there were people in the courtroom, but not a lot. So yes, they will be here in person. Lori will be here in person. Do I think she'll plead out? I have no clue. I have no idea. And maybe that's something that the prosecution might offer to both. Maybe one turns on the other. You know how these things go. The Woodcocks. Yes, I'm actually speaking with the Woodcocks here in about 20 minutes, so I'll post that interview a bit later today. I know that Kay sent me a meme that said hallelujah. So they, I know, are ready for this to get going. I'm unsure. Somebody asked if they were coming to Idaho next week. I'm not sure. But if they are, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because this is obviously significant. Does Chad know about this? Good question. I would imagine that his attorney will let Chad know that Lori is now competent, and this could change the game with that. When will we see her next? We'll see her Wendy. We will see her next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but in a week. And that's just going to give them time to transport her. I know someone's going to ask, will you be there? We have no clue when they're going to transport her. This will be done so quietly, and they don't want press there. I think that it could be done in the middle of the night. They're not going to release her travel plans. You might recall when she was declared incompetent, they didn't let anybody know where she was going. We did find out where she went, and it was she went to northern Idaho. I'll tell you that. And she did not stay local, which is a big difference for a lot of people around here. So as far as these incompetency cases. But there's the updates. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer them as best I can. The arraignment on the 19th is not just so she's competent. The judge has already said she's competent. She is competent. She's fit to proceed. Everything's moving forward. So the arraignment is because she needs to have an initial court appearance where she has read her charges. That never happened. That never happened at all. And so she'll go and she will actually hear these charges that she is accused of murdering her son and her daughter and the former wife of her husband. She's accused of killing them and conspiring to kill them. And she will stand before a judge for the first time and have those charges read to her. That has not happened yet. That happened with Chad. You might remember he pleaded not guilty. He showed no emotion. He was in a white shirt and a tie. His children were sitting behind him with masks on, and they didn't say anything. But that is what the arraignment will be. And from there, they prepare for trial. They prepare for an 8 to 10 week trial. The arraignment is scheduled for 1 p.m. Tuesday, April 19th. We'll have a camera there. I would imagine the judge will grant the request. That's what we're looking forward to seeing, and we should hear that hopefully today or tomorrow. But anyway, that is the news. So thank you all. I'm glad I could hop on here and answer some of your questions. I'm getting ready, as I mentioned, to do a video interview with Kay and Larry Woodcock, the grandparents of JJ, and we will. I'll ask them some of the questions you have asked me. And we'll post that a little later today. But Lori Vallow, for now, is packing her bags. She will be leaving the Department of Health and Welfare very soon. Within the next week, we know she'll be brought back here before next Tuesday. And when she's brought back, she will go before Judge Steven Boyce. She will be read the charges. And then it's possible that she could be a completely changed person, or that things are the same. So we'll see. All right, everybody, if you want to catch the latest, go to eastidahonews.com. We just posted a full written story, and of course, as I mentioned, we'll have that later. I don't know if they're watching her for suicide risk. That's something they probably would not tell us. We do know that when she was in the jail before, she was in isolation, and so she didn't have much contact with anybody else other than a guard who I would imagine would be watching over her. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.